It's the Abba podcast. Let's go.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The next guest on the podcast, we're blessed with His Eminence, Sayed Haider Al Qazwini. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, brother Abbas.
How's things, Sayyidina? Talk to us about Dearborn, yourself. How's everything going?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Dearborn is amazing, like always, and inshallah, we're waiting for you to come. We have good food here.
Hey, food is an important factor. Talk to us about the close-knit community in Dearborn, because in Sydney, I've never been exposed to much travel, especially to another Shia community that has a stronghold. And there's a lot of talk, Dearborn, there's a lot going on.
Well, Dearborn has probably one of the largest Muslim populations in the United States. It's been like this for over 50 years, maybe a century. And that was because of the industries, the car industries. I'm sure you've heard of Ford, the motor company, GM. So they used to bring a lot of workers from overseas because it was cheap labor. And they would come to Dearborn, they would make a living, and that's how the community was growing for almost a century. And alhamdulillah, very large Muslim Shi'i population in Dearborn, and alhamdulillah, we have a lot of masajid, a lot of halal restaurants. We don't have to worry about asking for halal food or whatever. We just go there and we know them, Shia, Muslim, alhamdulillah.
Well, that's the beauty of having a community. Sayed, so talk to us about growing up in the community, because we're both from the West. I'm from down under, you're from the States. Talk to us about the identity we have. Did you ever feel in any way that you could not express yourself, or rather was it the opposite and we had more opportunities and we had various platforms, various institutions where we could go propagate and show the teachings of Muhammad wa al Muhammad?
So first of all, for your information, I didn't grow up in Michigan. I did grow up in California and Karbala. So I lived there. I was born in California, lived there for about 8-9 years, and then moved to Karbala in Iraq, and that's where I lived 10 years. So I would say I grew up in the city of Karbala. However, in Dearborn, in the States in general, personally, definitely not hard to express myself as a Shi'i Muslim follower of the school of thought of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Definitely not hard at all. Alhamdulillah, we have the safety and the security in this country, and especially in Dearborn, where the community is mainly Shi'i here in Dearborn, and the amount of masajid, Shi'i masajid, so definitely didn't experience any hardships with expressing myself or going to the masajid or speaking to the imams or lecturing as a Shi'i speaker.
Ahsan, God bless you. So it's inspiring to know that you grew up and you had the best of both worlds, so to say, how they say it. So you were born in the States, California, Karbala, coming back and forth. Talk to us about the earliest mentors. Where did you derive your lessons, inspirations from to continuously go back into the community, serve, like you said, speak, be proactive? And inshallah, we'll get to the initiatives and things that you have been involved in. But where did you, early years, get that inspiration to, inshallah, serve on the path?
So, alhamdulillah, I'm not here to brag or praise my family. However, I come from a religious family, the Qazwini family. And my biggest inspiration, my biggest mentor is my grandfather, Sayyid Al Qazwini. He is the Imam of the leader of the prayers at the Holy Shrine of Imam Al Hussein alayhi salam for the past 19 years. And he used to live in the States as well. However, he moved to Iraq right after the fall of Saddam Hussein. So my grandfather is an inspiration to me and to my family as well. And he is always insisting on us and telling us to become something like him, to go on the manabir, and lecture and speak about the manaqib of the Ahl al-Bayt and bring people closer to Islam through the Ahl al-Bayt. Of course, lecturing in Muharram and Ramadan and the occasions. Right now, for example, the occasion of the wiladat of Imam Al Baqir. Alhamdulillah, we have the chance to be with you on this amazing podcast, speaking about the Ahl al-Bayt. And wherever we speak, my grandfather tells us always try to mention the Ahl al-Bayt. Always try to mention one of the Imams, one of the lessons that we learn from the Imams, from Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam, from the Holy Prophet. And that is a blessing. Truly, it is a blessing that we learn to always mention the Ahl al-Bayt, to always mention Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, to always mention one of our Imams. So this is a blessing, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. It's most definitely a blessing for us to be in that continuous reminder, because we need to always, be in a state of remembrance and reflection, as we see from the hadith, Imam Al alayhi salam, one who doesn't reflect isn't from us. And we see from the fitrah, the subconscious mind, and the effect that it has on the human, that, we derive from the word, or insan, insa, forgetfulness. It's not something that's foreign to us. So ensuring that the teachings and the revival of the message is continuous, it's only, when we say the prayer that we pray, it's constituted 5 times, Ahdina as-sirat al-mustaqim. We're saying that daily to ensure that we're still striving to grind on that path.
Of course, yes, ahsant. So truly, it is a lesson. We have to always be inspired by a role model, and we have to learn to, whenever we're talking, we as Muslims, and right now we're in the West, you're in Australia, and we sometimes we get the chance to speak on several platforms, whether you're at the masjid, whether you're at a church, whether you're at school, college, a campus, giving a lecture. As a Muslim, we have to always bring up our religion. We have to always teach what is our religion, and mention our religion to others. Let them know. Right now, Islam is looked down upon. People look at it and basically, the Islamophobia, anti-hijab movements, anti-Islam. So people sometimes, they have pure intention. They don't know about Islam. They don't know much about Islam. So it is our role to come and tell them. If we, the Muslims, don't do that, who's going to do it?
Most definitely. And the hadith from Imam Sadiq alayhi salam comes to mind, that we have to be role models, and we can't bring shame to the message of Al Muhammad, because at the end of the day, we represent the madhab. So it is a great responsibility to have, and it's something we shouldn't shy from. Unfortunately, most times the norm, especially in the West, is to assimilate, to fit in, and maybe not to be as extreme, some people at all. And it's unfortunate because when you're looking at class, when you're looking Billatihi Ahsan, you're not going to find a school of thought greater than Muhammad wa al-Muhammad. Because at the end of the day, religion is a way of life. And if it's a way of life, it has to have an answer for everything. And if it has an answer for everything, then what are you ashamed for?
Of course. And it is very, very unfortunate that you find in some communities, people try to not mention as much about their religion, or when they go to campuses, they don't want to mention anything about their religion or bring up that they're Muslim. They just want to hide and don't want to say anything. Why? If you don't know much about your religion, you have to go and learn and educate yourself about your religion. Once you are educated, and once you know the answers to the misconceptions you have, to the questions you have to know these things, and it is your duty and your responsibility to learn these, so that you don't have any fear and you don't feel any embarrassment, and you're not shy to talk about your religion, so that when people ask you anything about your prophet, your imams, the Ahl al-Bayt, anything about Islam, anything about the Quran, you have a response for that.
No, most definitely, Ahsan. And it comes to how we started this talk. We basically said mentorship is important, having a teacher, because having questions is actually a good thing to have. If you have questions, you have to be proud of yourself and inspired, because that is the catalyst to learn, to educate yourself, to take yourself out of ignorance. Because there's a hadith from the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, that one who doesn't seek that teaching, and I'm paraphrasing, is forever going to be in the state of ignorance. You have to reach out. We look at in the Holy Quran, Musa went to Nabi Khidr. So there's always someone that has higher knowledge and someone that you have to go to, and you have to humble yourself. Sometimes people are too proud to ask. At the end of the day, half of wisdom.
We're not all born knowing everything.
Most definitely.
We don't have ilm al-ghayb. Even one of the companions, the scholars, they weren't born like this. They go and they educate themselves. And I'd like to here mention a story of a companion of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. This companion was out in the streets and in the market, and he greets a man by the name of Abu Shakir al-Daysani. This man was running the movement of atheism at the era of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. So he tells the companion of the Imam, he tells him, do you worship a Lord? He tells him, of course I worship a Lord. I'm not like you. I'm not an atheist. Then he tells him, okay, is your Lord able and capable to do whatever he likes? He tells him, of course, my Lord, the creator, khaliq as-samawati wal-ard, he created everything in the most perfect way. Of course, he is able to do whatever he wants. He tells him, okay, can your Lord put this world, this earth, inside an egg? So this person, he's a companion of the Imam. He used to sit and attend the classes of the Imam. This person was confused. It was a misconception. Oh, he got confused. He was shocked by this question. So my point here is that even companions, even friends and close people to the Imams had questions and they had misconceptions. They go back to the Imam and they get an answer. So he tells him, yes, I believe he can. However, right now I don't have the answer on how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can put this earth inside an egg. I will get the answer from Ja'far bin Muhammad al-Sadiq. So he goes to Medina. He sees the Imam. He tells him, oh Imam, Yabna Rasulullah, oh grandson of the Prophet, I have a question that's confusing me. This person, Abu Shakir al-Daysani, gave me this question and I'm confused. He tells him, what's the question? He tells him, blah, blah, the question. And he tells him, I need an answer for it. The Imam tells him, oh my companion, what's the smallest organ in your body? He tells him, an-nadhr. An-nadhr means al-ain, the eyes. He tells him, yes, right now, what do you see? He tells him, I see everything. I see you, I see your room, I see the people sitting next to you. He tells him, okay, let's come outside of the house. He tells him, now what do you see? He tells him, I see buildings, I see the sky, I see the sun, I see the moon, I see mansions, I see palaces, everything, deserts. He tells him, okay, Allah Al-Qadir, the person, the Lord that is capable of putting this earth inside the smallest thing in your body, the eyes. He's not able to put the earth inside an egg. So that was a satisfying answer to the companion of the Imam. He goes back to that atheist person and he gives him the response. That person comes and sees the Imam and asks again other questions until he is satisfied with the answers that the Imam was giving him. And then he tells the Imam, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah.
And say that's the importance of seeking and understanding and inquiring and pursuing, because nothing just comes to you. You're not just, like you mentioned, you're not just born with all this knowledge. If anything, sustenance is written for you. Knowledge you have to acquire. It's not something that's guaranteed, and that's the importance and the responsibility we have in this realm, and will be questioned as to what we did with our time in reference to knowledge. Because as we know, in the greatest thing that the human being has been blessed with is intellect. And I was thinking of the book Al-Kahf, and it wouldn't come to my head. But chapter 1 is intellect. There's one chance.
And of course, it is.
So
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He created the intellect, the aql, Allah spoke to the aql, and He said that I haven't created anything more valuable than the aql, than you.
yeah, Ahsan. So it's our, يعني we have to take that initiative, and inshallah, in the West, propagate and spread through various platforms. And we learn from Muhammad wa al-Muhammad, especially Imam Ali alayhi salam in the Battle of Siffin, that no matter the arena, no matter the time and place, there is always time for salah. There is always time for the religiosity. Because what are we living for if we cannot propagate, if we cannot show by our actions, not our words? A lot of people ramble with words. It's like, Habibi, if you honestly are a good person, everyone will be invited with your actions. It's fine. Just do the right thing, and you don't have to tell us what you're doing. We'll see it.
Ahsant, of course. And there is a hadith by one of the Ahl al-Bayt, one of the Imams, or maybe the Prophet, where they say, إِنَّمَا الدِّينَ الْمُعَامَلَةِ. So deen is not just going to the masjid, dressed up in a dishdasha, carrying a sibha, a tasbih, and just mentioning Allah. Of course, that is great. And we should always remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who has blessed us with everything. And we have to always worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because life is worshiping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and appreciating to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But life, deen, religion is not just that. Religion is mu'amala, your negotiation, your connection with people. When you speak to another, when you go home, your relationship with your family, your relationship with the non-Muslims as well. This is all Islam. This is all deen. Deen is involved in every action, in every part of your life. So it's not just at the masjid. It's not just going to Husayniyah and crying for Imam al-Hussein and remembering the Ahl al-Bayt. All of that is great. However, deen is involved in every aspect of your life.
Most definitely. And as we say in the supplication, if I'm not mistaken, after Salat al-Asr, is dua is a means, knowledge is a means. We want all these are means to God, and inshallah God accepts these means from us so we can get closer to God. But they're not definite factors. It doesn't mean if you do 1, 2, 3 that you are guaranteed, because you can still be deficient. You can still be Abu Hanifa and then a student of Imam Al-Sadiq, and then you have Abu Hulul who takes you to court and cleans
and
the
the dua,
courthouse.
Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min ilmin la yanfa. You have knowledge, but it's not beneficial. Or salatin la turfa, a salat that is not acceptable. And of course, the dua mentions wabatnan la yashba, just eating, and never getting full. You just want to eat.
You know,
I
was about to go there. The guy that comes to mind is the La'in himself. And it's interesting when you were mentioning the dress code, I couldn't help but remember the story of Bahlul when he was once going to an event and he couldn't go in, and then he went and he got the amama and the lubas and he had the tasbih and they let him in, and then he's like, no, this is what's invited, not me. So you don't want to fall into that trap of worshipping objects, because unfortunately now, and in the trends that are happening, we could be falling into greater sins when we're putting greater importance on objects, cultural norms, rather than the principles and trusting the tawakkul ala Allah, because there's some traditions in some cultures, which culture does have a part in religion, so long as it doesn't take over the halal and haram. Like, it is really ritualistic in the sense, not too sure in Dearborn how it goes, but here, there's a lot of practices that are cultural. So, for example, there's one where I'm trying to like be nice about this, but it's really hard to be nice, honestly. There's one where when a couple get married, the benefit of the marriage is dependent on the stickiness of a certain object.
Ahsan.
So I don't know if you guys do that as well.
So the thing is, in Dearborn, there's a lot of culture involved.
Yeah,
and like right now I don't have a lot, like especially particularly about Dearborn. However, in other communities, like even when it comes to commemorating majalis and commemorating Muharram, Ashura, remembering Imam al-Hussein, you see that many communities, they're focused on objects, or they're focused on other things, and they forget about the important thing. Like they forget about the story and the sacrifice of Imam al-Hussein, and they go on the objects that we, for example, talk about in the incident in the Battle of Karbala. So that is good. Okay, sure, focus on that. However, that's not what the Imam sacrificed for. That's not what the Imam al-Hussein died for. The message of Imam al-Hussein. We have to learn what messages and what principles did Imam al-Hussein die for, and what message did he give. For example, Hayhat minna dhilla. This is a message. This is a principle that we have to learn, that we will never submit to humiliation. And this is a lesson, for example, we see in many countries, they submit to humiliation, and other countries, no, they did not submit to humiliation, without mentioning the countries. Now, that is a lesson from the sacrifice of Imam al-Hussein. Another sacrifice, for example, the relationship Imam al-Hussein had with his family, had with his companions. You see, when Imam al-Hussein, you hear in the story of Karbala, when Imam al-Hussein greets his companions, he greets them like they are his own family, even more than his own family. Like, for example, when Habib ibn Mudahir comes and Imam al-Hussein talks to him. This is all mentioned in the books of history, how Imam al-Hussein had a connection with his companion, with the companion of Imam Ali, with the companion of Rasulullah. Habib was old, and he spoke to him in that very respectful way. And other companions, Imam al-Hussein, for example, had a companion who fought on the day of Ashura along with Imam al-Hussein, but moments before he was against Imam al-Hussein, Zuhair ibn al-Qayn. That Zuhair ibn al-Qayn is a legend on the day of Ashura, but moments before he was against Imam al-Hussein. Look, with the akhlaq of Imam al-Hussein, and this is the message that Imam al-Hussein gave us, a principle that we learn from the day of Ashura, that we have to have the akhlaq of Ahlul Bayt. We have to have the akhlaq of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. That with akhlaq, you change people. Sometimes an enemy comes to you, even if they want to kill you, even if they want to attack you, even if they want to close off your masjid and remove you out of their town. With your akhlaq, you can change them. You can flip them 180 degrees. And we all know the story of Imam Zayn al-Abidin when he entered Sham. The man came to Imam Zayn al-Abidin and he started cursing the Imam. Imam Zayn al-Abidin, just with simple, good akhlaq, he flipped him over. And he made him a hardcore Shi'i and a follower of the Ahlul Bayt.
No, most definitely. And I feel that's a responsibility we all have to undertake, because we have to be proactive and we have to be inspired by these stories. Whether you're male, female, young, old, there's stories from the message of Muhammad wa al-Muhammad that are inspiring. Whether you're a Qasim, whether you are Ali al-Akbar, whether you are, like you mentioned, Zuhair. One of the integral parts of Zuhair turning was a conversation he has with his wife. So if you're a female as well, you see that you have a responsibility to ensure, no matter the difficulty, you can't just say, unfortunately now, if the guy isn't the most practicing, the female say, well, then I'm going off him. And then you see in history, you see Asiya, one of the greatest women. You see the wife of Zuhair. You see many. There's a lot. There's just the two that came to mind. There's a lot where they stuck firm with the message. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed them and granted them greatness in this world and the next. So I feel that we can't look for the excuse. We have to be proactive. And like you mentioned, with the akhlaqi lessons we take and implement in our life, it only brings success. For me, when I look at the message of Sayyid al-Shuhada, Abba Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam, on his way to Karbala, the line he says, Inni kharajtu li talab al-islah, reconciliation. He never... reconciliation comes in many forms, in family forms, in friendship forms. You see past that. You look at the akhlaq of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, because he continues to say that he wishes to bring reform to the ummah of his Prophet, peace be upon him, and his father, Ali ibn Abi Talib, because they wanted to eradicate them from the annals of history. So when we see this and we conduct ourselves in such ways, like you mentioned, people will be invited. Now, unfortunately, the Quranic lesson, بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنُ, has been neglected because when they steep low, we believe we need to steep lower. When they attack our places, we have to attack back. And the irrationality, we don't realize that two wrongs don't make a right. And there's a whole surah, a whole chapter called Al-Munafiqun. We are hypocritical if we fall into that trap that they've set. And at the end of the day, that's against our teaching. So the responsibility we have is great in that sense. And I feel it's one that we're improving on, but one we need to make a lot more strides on, because social media, the way life's changing now, there's no real excuse not to serve. There's no real excuse not to represent. If anything, it's the opposite. We got nothing to say.
Ahsant. There is always a way we can serve and become proactive in our deen and our akhlaq and any aspect. We can always be proactive and mention and teach people how to learn about Islam, how to learn about the Ahlul Bayt. We bring them closer. With your akhlaq, you bring people close, not just with the quality of the programs. Right now, for example, there are centers, they bring speakers. And you find that some of those programs, they tend to bring speakers that do not speak English, maybe. Now, this is important. This is an integral part where we're neglecting the youth. When you don't have English programs, youth are not going to come, especially here in the United States. Youth are not going to come. So we have to focus on bringing the youth. We have to cater to the youth. We have to bring quality speakers. We have to bring English speakers so that our youth, right now, the older generation, inshallah, they're all set and they know about their religion. We have to focus on the youth here in the United States and the UK and Europe and Australia, wherever. We have to cater to the youth because they are faced with misconceptions. They are faced with Western principles and Western ideologies. So we have to cater to the youth, and we have to have the akhlaq of the Ahlul Bayt so that the youth come and the youth learn about Islam and about Ahlul Bayt and how to become like the Ahlul Bayt and choose the Ahlul Bayt as role models. This is a very important message, you know. And obviously with our akhlaq, we bring people. It's not just the program, it's not just the speaker, it's not just the English speaker. It's with our akhlaq we bring them. It's with our akhlaq we bring them to attend the majalis, to attend the programs, to attend Salat al-Jum'ah, to attend Dua Kumail, and to attend the programs of the masjid, of the centers, of the Islamic centers. You know, there is a story of Imam Al-Sadiq and one Nasibi person. He's not just a Sunni. No, he was a Nasibi. And Nasibi means anti-Ahlul Bayt. He's against the Ahlul Bayt. He used to always speak, he used to always curse Ali ibn Abi Talib. And this man, one day, he meets Imam Al-Sadiq alayhi salam, and Imam Al-Sadiq, subhanallah, moments and he flips him over. He becomes a hardcore Rafidi, a hardcore Shi'i of the Ahlul Bayt. Subhanallah, how? With the akhlaq. Of course, now the Imam has a position. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given him a specific position where whenever he speaks to people, he's always going to be persuasive. People are automatically going to submit to whatever he says. Yes, that's true. But Imam As-Sadiq has certain humane ways, and that is akhlaq. With the akhlaq of Imam As-Sadiq, with the akhlaq of Rasulullah, that's how they brought people closer to Islam, closer to the religion of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. And that's how he brought this Nasibi person by the name of Sayed Al-Himyari. Sayed Al-Himyari was sitting with the Imam moments and he became a Shi'i, a Rafidi. And on his deathbed, the books of history mention on his deathbed, his friends from Sunni religion and from Sunni school of thoughts and Shi'i school of thoughts were gathered by him. and he wasn't able to speak. He wasn't able to talk because he was on his deathbed. He was going to pass away. So the other school of thought were mocking him, telling him, yes, this is because of you left the religion of your fathers, your grandfathers, your ancestors. This is what you deserve, and this is what's going to happen to you. Suddenly, and then they were telling him, this is, by the way, not from me, this is from the books of history. Then they tell him, oh Himyari, or oh Sayyid al-Himyari, this is because you left the religion. And what is Ali ibn Abi Talib benefiting you right now? Yalla, where's Ali ibn Abi Talib? You say Ali ibn Abi Talib comes to the person that's dying, comes to his Shi'i, comes to the Munafiq. Yalla, show us, where's Ali ibn Abi Talib? Where's his help? Subhanallah, moments he opens his eyes and he starts talking. He only says few lines and he dies. He says, كذب الزاعمون أن عليا لم ينجي محبه عند الممات فقد وربي دخلت جنة عدن وعفاني الإله عن سيئاتي. He says, the people who say Ali ibn Abi Talib is not going to come and save his Shi'i, his lover, his follower, they are lying. Because right now Ali ibn Abi Talib grabbed my hands and he has entered me paradise, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgave my sins. So this is a story we learn. And that was not my point, but right now we learn from the Ahlul Bayt. With our akhlaq, we bring people closer. You want to be proactive? You want to make programs? Do not make a program if you don't have akhlaq. Do not make any programs if you don't have akhlaq. Because with akhlaq, you're going to bring people automatically and you're going to make them stay. You're going to make them love that program. You're going to make them always be committed to the majalis you're holding, to the Thursday nights you're holding, to the Salat al-Jum'ah you're having, to the Ramadan programs, to the Muharram programs that you're having. With akhlaq, you make them you make them committed, and they're going to always come. They're going to be committed to the religion of Ahlul Bayt.
Nah, Sayed, I couldn't honestly agree more. See, the beauty of these conversations, and obviously it's also a Quranic principle, is for us to get to know one another. And indeed, the best amongst us isn't from certain cultures, tribes, or countries, or villages, or whatever. It's the one who has the most taqwa. So connecting with one another, we learn lessons and we can give and rub off different things and inshallah inspire each other and anyone else. But the point that I'm trying to make is everything you mentioned is 100%. These are qualities that you have to have for institutions to grow, for blessings and barakah to be blessed upon these gatherings. And inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala inspires and guides and helps everyone in attendance and anyone who hasn't come. But the point that I'm making is, alhamdulillah, you've grown, like you mentioned, in a scholarly family, a very religious, pious family, alhamdulillah, who's done really well and inshallah continues to do well for generations to come until the day of judgment.
Thank you so much.
Now, from my perspective, though, I grew up, obviously, in a Shia family, but not a scholarly family. So most of my work was, we were at the park, we were on the streets, we were playing, doing certain things that weren't attached to a mosque, so to say, or a center, so to say. And always growing up, we were good kids. Like, we didn't do anything wrong. We always had halal haram. We always had the message of Karbala, the 10 days of Muharram. We would always go to the mosque. But something that I believe you need to be proactive is on the streets, on the ground. And you see this from our masters as well. Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he was Khalif, he would go and he would be in the streets and the markets and they would know the affairs of the people. And Maytham would be there and he would ask Maytham, have you went and done your salah? Maytham would say, no, I'm still on my date stand. And Mawla would tell him, you go, I'll come, I'll cover you. So you see that Al Muhammad were on the ground. They weren't just in these places of worship because they went to where the people are. And for all the youth that might be disheartened and say that I don't have a connection to a mosque or a center, that also isn't an excuse as well. You have to connect yourself because there is a difference in spirituality and ruhaniyah when you see your fellow brethren and you're rubbing shoulders and you're in the presence of people with greater wisdom than you. You learn, you grow, but the point that I'm trying to make is be proactive in different areas as well. That's probably one of the reasons why the podcast happened. The podcast happened to connect from the ground up. The podcast goes to sporting events. The podcast covers sport. But there's never a time we shy away from the religious principles and teaching. If we're speaking to a boxer who's injured and he's down, well, champ, the distance between the heavens and the earth is a person in a person in dua. So if you're feeling that way, channel it, better yourself, and inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you the tawfiq. So there isn't an avenue where you can't use it. That's the point I'm making. Because a lot of people say they get disheartened. We're on the streets, we're in the parks, we're here, we're there, we can't see anyone. And you see when you read books, a lot of scholars did da'wah in the movies, they did da'wah in the alleyways. It does happen. If it's not happening to you, inshallah, it will happen to you. But what I'm saying is be inspired by something. And if they're not coming to you, go to them.
Of course, ahsant. Exactly. What you said was 100% correct. And I believe we have to, just like what you said, we have to be proactive in all aspects, in all areas throughout our lives, whether we're at our work, our masjid, our campus. Just like I said, for example, let's have Muslim student associations. This is something important. Through school, through education, through campuses, through colleges, through universities, we get closer to Islam. Isn't that something amazing? You're doing two amazing things. You're learning, you're becoming a doctor, you're becoming an engineer, you're becoming whatever, inshallah, great you would like to become, and you're learning about Islam. For example, you go to class, and then later you attend a Thursday night program on campus. Isn't that something amazing? This is a message to the youth in our communities, whether in the United States, in Australia, in Europe, wherever you are. If you go to campus and you are a Shi'i Muslim follower of the Ahlul Bayt, and you say, how would I become proactive? Through your campus, start a student Muslim association. Isn't that something nice you would have? First of all, you would teach the non-Muslims, the white, black people about Islam. You would teach all kinds of people about your religion and give them a beautiful message of our religion. And you will bring the Muslim students that go to campus. Maybe most of them do not attend masajid. They do not like to go to the masjid. Maybe the masjid doesn't have English programs. Maybe the masjid doesn't bring good speakers that they like. You have to cater to that. You have to cater to them. Try to bring speakers from outside campus. Try to bring speakers from off campus or speakers from on campus, and cater to what they like to hear. Cater to the youth and on campus. This is something amazing. I know a campus, for example, they hold Thursday night dua kumail. Every Thursday night, there is like 20, 30 people that would go and attend. First of all, they started like 10 people. Maximum was 10 people. Now they have minimum 30, 20, 30. Yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you success. Allah will give you tawfiq. You have to have pure intention to become proactive in your religion, to become active in what you believe in, and preaching it, lecturing it, speaking about it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will support you and give you tawfiq.
Nah, inshallah, most definitely. And I think the most important thing to take from what you're saying, Sayyidina, is not to be disappointed. Because I'll use a podcast, for example. You can reach out to 1 million people. You better believe you might get 1 million no's. But if you're doing it qurbatan lillah and your intention is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the path gets open. You cannot be disheartened. You cannot be judgmental as to why someone couldn't. It's fine. Nobody owes anybody anything. At the end of the day, we'll all serve, and inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bless you with brothers like yourself that will come on and help the initiative and be proactive. So it's not defined by, I tried once and it's finished. Because if I'm not mistaken, there's a hadith from Imam Rida alayhi salam in Ayun Akhbar Rida alayhi salam that says that, I'm paraphrasing, that the more you try, the more sincere you are. God tests you the first time, second time, third time, fourth time, fifth time. When are you going to break? Well, that's the greatness of your level and how your intention is. So you don't want to break too soon. And I think it's important. And look, Sayyid, I think that it's also important that the people understand how the pressures of speaking, because you've given lectures in mosque, Talk to us about that. How, because Imam Al Baqir alayhi salam, a hadith from him, we're celebrating, commemorating his birth, is a responsibility of knowledge just to give. So when you have this knowledge now, when you have the ability or you've been there, you now have the experience. When you have the experience, you now have to go give to the people. You can't be stingy because that's your now test. Talk to us about speaking now, because one, it's not easy. Two, there's a big responsibility. And three, any jitters, talk to us. Any things that you have to overcome, and how do you feel before, after, and during?
So the hadith is zakatul ilmi nashrah. Zakat of ilm, the charity of knowledge. When you have ilm, is giving ilm and showing your ilm, giving it to people. Don't be stingy, just like what you said. We have to always speak. We have to always lecture if you have ilm. So, alhamdulillah, throughout the journey of lecturing, and for example, going to majalis of Imam Al-Hussein, lecturing in Muharram, lecturing in Ramadan, occasions on the birth anniversaries or the martyrdom anniversaries of the Ahl al-Bayt, the lecturing journey is very, very important to me personally, and obviously to the speakers of the Ahl al-Bayt. I consider myself a small servant, inshallah, in the path of the Ahl al-Bayt. However, speaking and the journey of lecturing is very important. We have to always be educated enough so that when we speak, people can actually learn. They don't just say, yes, this person is just a speaker, and we just go because the masjid, the community, we have to go. No, you have to try to bring speakers that whenever they're on the minbar, you're learning something new. And alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, whenever I'm sitting listening to a lecture, always I have to learn something new. Yes, and this is something very good, alhamdulillah. Now sometimes scholars, speakers, lecturers, they listen to other majalis because each time you listen, you learn something new. And it is very important to go and attend those majalis, attend those lectures. Now, for example, right now when I am in the journey of lecturing, preparing for the majlis is something important. You want to become a good speaker, you want to become an educated person, you have to prepare for that majlis. You have to be a good role model, because when you're sitting on the minbar, indeed you are a role model. You have to be deserving that position. You have to be a person that, for example, I'm speaking about myself. When I'm on the minbar giving lectures in Muharram, I have to deserve that position that I have. Sitting on a minbar of Imam Al-Hussein throughout the nights of Ashura is a blessing, is an honor. So I have to learn and prepare hours and hours for each lecture, or days for each lecture. Yes, because Imam Al-Hussein is worthy enough. Imam Al-Hussein deserves the majalis and deserves the good majalis. So we have to work on our lectures. And I was speaking on behalf of myself, of course, brother Abbas. I believe, of course, alhamdulillah, you're bringing so much ahadith. It seems like you are prepared, and this is a blessing that whenever we're on the spot, whenever we're on podcasts, YouTube, wherever you're on, you have to always be prepared. Know a hadith, know a ayah, at least about one particular thing that you can support what you're saying. That can be a supporting detail, a supporting detail to what you're mentioning. And this is something important. If you want to become a Muslim proactive person and you don't know anything about a hadith of the Ahl al-Bayt or anything about the Quran, then don't become proactive. Don't become a speaker. Don't become a lecturer. You have to know your imams. You have to know their ahadith. You have to know the Holy Prophet. You have to know something about the Holy Quran, if not everything, because this is what our scholars do. This is what our lecturers, Islamic top lecturers, do. They spend hours and days preparing for just a 45-minute lecture. Can you believe it? Of course. He's a top lecturer. He can easily just copy another lecture 20 years ago. No, they come and they focus because they want to benefit people. They want to teach people. And this is a position that they have to earn it. They have to deserve it. Because Imam al-Hussein, we have to sacrifice for him as well. Imam al-Hussein sacrificed. Imam al-Hussein gave everything. Imam al-Hussein gave everything. We just have to prepare and know enough about the religion of Imam al-Hussein, the school of thought of the Ahl al-Bayt, the school of thought of Imam al-Hussein, Imam Zayn al-Abidin, to educate people, to bring them closer to the faith.
Nah, Ahsant, honestly. And if I'm going to add my 2 cents, which I shouldn't, but it's honestly, I think everyone should speak in any way, shape, or form, even if it's your Instagram page, only because people are so critical. I'd like to see you try, because everyone has a comment to say. And I think it humbles you in a way to see the difficulty of the degree of the sacrifice that the scholars are putting in. Because the worst is when someone's sitting down and they're just blatant. They don't have the accreditation. They have never studied as much as the scholar. And they're trying to tell him what he should have said and how to connect. And like, Habibi, look, be humble. Obviously, in anything in life, there's levels. All right. And we're not here to say everyone's perfect, but we need to make excuses for each other. We need to give each other the chance and opportunity to grow. I just don't like when people are critical. And unfortunately, when it comes to the scholarly speaking mimbar of Abba Abdullah Hussein alayhi salam, I feel that some people think that their opinion matters. Like, I just don't like that negativity. And I'm very realistic. It's like, I understand what you're saying, but I understand everything you said is wrong. You just can't have that opinion, because at the end of the day, you don't understand the struggle, or your wisdom wasn't sufficient for you to understand or comprehend the point he was making. Because a lot of people with history don't understand the context. So if something has been said and you haven't caught on, okay, the scholar or the speaker could have babied that up for you. But at the end of the day, it's your responsibility as well. So I feel people should be accountable that way and not just point the finger.
Ahsant. Of course. We shouldn't be always critical and always trying to point out the negative parts of, for example, speakers, scholars. But I'm telling you, this is a responsibility. The scholar has to be responsible. You're right now sitting on the mamba. You're giving a lecture. People, thousands, millions maybe, are listening to you. You have to know what you're mentioning. Right now, when I'm going to the mambar, when I'm sitting on the mambar, when I'm giving a lecture, I have to cite my sources. I have to know the ayahs coming from, for example, this surah. You have to mention it. The ayah in the Quran is not that difficult, but the hadith, when you mention it, you have to know which book. Is it an authentic hadith or just random hadith you just liked and you want to use it? No, our scholars I'm talking about, scholars who are speakers, are always going to be responsible for this. And yeah, maybe 1, 2 make mistakes. We don't have to always come and point out the difficulties. But I do agree with, for example, some critical people that point out wrong things that are being said. Yeah, we do have that certain speakers, I wouldn't call them scholars, that always mention what they like. Or for example, in the story of Imam Al-Hussein alayhi salam, they're talking about the saga of Imam Al-Hussein, the catastrophe, the tragedy that happened on the day of Ashura. Isn't that itself a tragedy? They like to add from here and from there. In Iraqi, we call it kurkum and baharat. We put salt and pepper on to add to the story, to add some drama to the story. Why? You don't need to add drama to the story. Imam Al-Hussein, just listen to the authentic story of the saga of Ashura. You're going to cry automatically. You don't need to add salt and pepper. You don't need to add more lines to the story. So we do have speakers, for example, in Iraq and other parts in the Middle East, that try to add. That's not right. We're not supposed to add. What happened to Imam Al-Hussein was more than enough. What happened to the Ahl al-Bayt, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, Imam al-Kadhim, Imam Al Baqir, Imam al-Jawad, is more than enough. You don't need to add to make people cry. People are going to always cry. And even if they don't cry, it's not the speaker's problem.
Sound.
So what I wanted to say is that obviously the scholar, the speaker, is always going to be responsible for what they say on the minbar. Obviously, some would maybe make mistakes. Yani they're not ma'sumin, right? They're not infallibles. They're going to make mistakes from here and there, but they have to be responsible on what they're saying. They have to cite their sources, know what they're talking about, and not become dramatic. Even not just about the stories. We have to always, even this is a message for me and obviously for brother Abbas, we shouldn't always exaggerate. Let's always talk and become realistic. We don't need to exaggerate to make the story or the lesson more dramatic so that we bring people's attention. Let's not be dramatic and exaggeration. Let's not bring exaggeration in our talk.
Oh, most
So
definitely. 100%
something
agree.
we should be responsible for.
100%, especially when we say that we have the greatest religion and the teachings and we take and derive from the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family. I grew up in Western institutions and went to universities here in Australia, and academic integrity is the most integral part in any paper you write. If you're not referencing and your paper isn't sourced and you can't justify everything that you took, and even so that the author, like you mentioned, is someone that doesn't have any biasness, because even if I reference someone that has hatred, so if I'm referencing, for example, to put into context, if I'm referencing from a Nasabi and I'm doing a biography on Imam Ali alayhi salam, well, that isn't an academic paper, that has no integrity. That also exists in the West as well with papers that you have to write. So the point I'm making here is that if scholarly references and academic integrity is important in Western institutions, you better believe that the greatest institution, the Minbar of Abba Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam, has to have a higher standard, because at the end of the day, it's got a greater responsibility. When it comes to academic integrity, you cannot play with that. Despite the level of scholar, like even if a scholar takes on a younger child to put a speech for a birthday, that scholar and that child have a responsibility once you step on that stage. And you can never say, I didn't know. No, I definitely agree with you when it comes to that. You have to hold yourself to a call. Rather, the point I was trying to make is the unfortunate reality in this day and age, if someone has a differing opinion, we now give death threats. And it has existed, unfortunately, in the Shia world. I don't know specifics, and I don't want to go into specifics because it's not our job, but rather, we shouldn't steep that low where we wish to cause harm, where we wish to cause boycott on something that is a differing of opinion, because plurality of opinion is healthy. We've seen the story you mentioned earlier from the atheist, Imam Al Sadiq alayhi salam. He had differences of opinion. Can God do 1, 2, 3? Imam Al Sadiq alayhi salam didn't send henchmen to the house to attack and kill this man.
Ahsant. Yeah, this is a very, very important thing. And it's unfortunate that you find some people, they call themselves Shia. They call themselves followers of Imam al-Hussein, Imam al-Hassan, Imam Ali alayhi salam, Rasulullah. But when it comes to differences in opinion, they fight. They curse one another. They're always talking about one another. This person is a kafir. This person is anti-Imam al-Hussein, anti-Ahl al-Bayt. Just for right now saying something about something simple. Something simple, you say you're going to be called a kafir or a fasiq or whatever by your Shi'i brothers. This is something unfortunate. Why? We have to always be together, even if we have differences in opinion. Even if I follow Sayyid Fulan and the other person follows another marja, another scholar, that's fine. We're brothers and sisters, and we're one community, when we're one society, followers, lovers of Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. Why do I have to fight one another? Why do I have to always call out? Or even if they make a mistake, so what? They're not infallibles. They're not ma'sumin. So we shouldn't always focus on the negative parts. This person is accepting an opinion. This person is following a marja. I'm following the opposite marja or the other marja. There's no problem between the maraja themselves. You find sometimes problems are between their followers. The follower of marja A is always against the follower of marja B. Why?
I couldn't say.
This is not the teachings of the Ahlul Bayt. We have to always be together. Have different opinions. Right now, I could possibly have opinions that Brother Abbas doesn't agree with. Possibly. But we always have to respect one another. We have to always accept it. This person has this opinion. We respect that. وَكَانَ اللَّهُ غَفُورًا رَحِيمًا.
Ahsan. I think it's healthy. I think that you might either motivate me or I might have to think harder, or we might come to a conclusion, agree to disagree. At the end of the day, may God grant us all tawfiq. I think a lesson we can take from this is definitely the story of Imam Al Baqir alayhi salam when it comes to the ignorant man who was making fun of his surname. Sayed, do you want to take it on here? And I think people should take that lesson and ensure that they take that teachings. I don't want to I'll give it to you.
Exactly. Sometimes people have differences in opinion with you, and they try to utilize every method possible with knowledge, with ilm. And maybe they're going to defeat you. They're more knowledgeable, and maybe their opinion is correct. At that time, if you're not a normal human being, you're going to utilize other methods to attack them, to make them look bad, to make them look wrong. You're going to, for example, curse them, curse their family, talk about them, attack them, give them nicknames, name them names that are not suitable and not respectful. That's what a low human being would do. That's what a person that is a dani. In Arabic, they say dani. Dani means he's low. Why? Why would we have to steep that low and become disrespectful with our brothers and sisters, even if they're not Shia, Sunni, ahlan ala aini wa ala rasi? We have differences in opinion. Why do we have to steep low and give them nicknames and tell him, no, you're this, you're that, and we have to curse? No cursing. We only talk with ilm. We only talk with knowledge. Our only tool is knowledge. Khalas, it doesn't work out, differences in opinion. Imam Al Baqir alayhi salam, what Brother Abbas mentioned, is that one day Imam Al Baqir, the Khalifa, or the son of the Khalifa, comes to Imam Al Baqir, or the Khalifa visits the nephew of Imam Al Baqir. I'm sorry. The Khalifa meets with the brother of Imam Al Baqir, Zayd ibn Ali ibn al Hussein. And he tells him, oh Zayd, because Zayd made a revolution and he wanted to take down the Umayyad Empire. Of course, it wasn't a successful revolution because the Imams told him, do not do that. You're going to be killed. Won't be a successful revolution. However, he wanted to serve a good cause, and he went a shaheed, and he was killed, and he was murdered in a very brutal way and with mutilated bodies. And obviously the women were taken as captives. So they treated him just like Imam al-Hussein was treated. So before he was killed, he meets with the Khalifa, and the Khalifa tells him, is this what your brother, because his brother, he is the son of Imam Zain al-Abidin, that means he is the brother of which Imam? Imam al-Baqir. He tells him, is this what would your brother? And then he gives a name to the Imam, a very disrespectful name. He calls the Imam al-Baqir. He calls him Baqarah. He tells him, is this what would your brother would do? Al-Baqarah. Zayd becomes angry. Zayd is insulted. He tells him, you call him Baqarah, and Rasulullah called him Baqir. Rasulullah gave him the name Baqir. You call him Baqarah? So he tells him, what does Baqir mean? He tells him, because يبقر العلم بقرة. Yani he doesn't leave anything with knowledge. He has knowledge, everything in knowledge. Yani he doesn't leave any slight bit in knowledge that he doesn't have. His mind is all knowledge. His mind is knowledge itself. So he tells him, Rasulullah calls him Baqarah and you call him Baqarah. Yes. Sometimes people, and unfortunately you find Shi'as do that. Followers of Ahlul Bayt, they do that. I have a difference in opinion with you. I'm going to always give you nicknames. I'm going to call you a fasiq, a fajir, a munafiq, a kadhib, a whatever. Khalas, it's okay, habibi, even if he has a different opinion. Let it go. Let it go. You want to bring him closer to your ideology, closer to your akhlaq, closer to your believing, you have to use akhlaq. You have to utilize your akhlaq. You have to utilize the akhlaq of Rasulullah, the akhlaq of the Ahl al-Bayt. You know, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, he says, مَا أُوذِيَ نَبِيٌّ بِمِثْلِ مَا أُوذِيتَ. Yani there was no prophet that was tortured, that was harmed, that was attacked by like me. Yani Prophet Muhammad was the most attacked prophet. His own community, even after the kuffar, his own community, Muslims attacked him. مَا أُوذِيَ نَبِيٌّ بِمِثْلِ مَا أُوذِيتَ. Look how the Rasul was treating them. Just look at the biography of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. When Abu Jahl comes and hits him, look how he treats them. Look at the biography and the story of the stories during the life of Rasulullah. When Rasulullah comes for Fath Mecca with Muslims, thousands of Muslims, over 100,000 Muslims, they come. The final Hajj of Rasulullah, Fath Mecca in the year 8 of Hijrah, Rasulullah comes to Mecca and he hears one person, he says, Al-yawm yawmul malhama, Al-yawm tusbal hurama. That person, he's a Muslim, follower of Rasulullah. He says, Al-yawm yawmul malhama, today we're fighting. You remember the way they attacked us, O Rasulullah? We remember when we left Mecca, when we migrated to Medina, you know how they kicked us out. They didn't leave anything. We owned stores, they took it. We owned houses, they took it. We owned everything we had, everything we owned, they took it. And they tortured us and they attacked us in every single way possible. Right now, we have to take revenge. Rasulullah tells him, no, do not say that. Al-yawm yawmul marhama. Al-yawm tuhmal hurama. Today is the day of mercy. Today is the day of blessings. And today is the day that the women won't be taken as captives. Women will be protected. He wanted to take their women as captives. Rasulullah said, absolutely not. What are you talking about? And then Abu Sufyan thinks Rasulullah is going to kill him. Rasulullah says, no. Inna dara Abu Sufyan amin. Abu Sufyan is going to be at peace. No one will touch his house. No one will go in his house. Look how Rasulullah treated them. The enemies, the people that wanted to kill the Prophet, look how Rasulullah treated them. One day, Prophet Muhammad is in Medina. And I would like to do a salawat upon Muhammad. He's in the masjid. And he is praying. The Prophet was sitting. A man comes from behind the Prophet and he chokes the Prophet and he puts him down to the ground. And he tells the Prophet, Ya Rasulullah, he tries to choke him and he tells him, Oh Muhammad, who is going to protect you now? Yalla, tell me, Ya Muhammad, who's going to save you now? Rasulullah, with peace, relaxed, he tells him, Allah is going to save me. Subhanallah, suddenly something happens, 180 degrees opposite. The Prophet is on top and the man is on the bottom. He tells him, Yalla, now tell me who's going to save you from me. The man is one of the kuffar. He doesn't believe in the Lord. He doesn't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, Rahmatuka ya Muhammad. Your mercy, your akhlaq, your forgiveness will let me go. This is Rasulullah. This is the akhlaq of the Ahl al-Bayt. Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he's treated, when he's attacked, when he's treated in a terrible way, look how he treats his enemies. So we have to become like the Ahl al-Bayt. We have to become like Rasulullah. We have to become like Imam al-Hussein. Imam al-Hussein, for example, when he forgave Hur was the person that didn't allow him to the water. He didn't allow him to get to the water, and he didn't allow him to enter Kufa. He blocked the caravan of Imam al-Hussein, and he scared the women and the children, and he was with a equipped, fully armed army. Subhanallah, suddenly he comes and he realizes what he did. He goes to Imam al-Hussein, Ya Imam al-Hussein, I have came and I am embarrassed with what I did. Would you forgive me? He tells him, of course. Allah is going to forgive you. Who am I to not forgive you? So those are the principles that we have to attach to. Those are the teachings that we have to always carry with us. Akhlaq, you want to become proactive? Go ahead. Inshallah, Allah will give you tawfiq and success. However, you have to carry the akhlaq of Muhammad and Ali Muhammad to become proactive and to serve the message of the Ahlul Bayt properly. You don't want to serve if you want to serve the Ahlul Bayt, you have to go through them. You don't go through others. So this is what I would like to say.
Nah, Ahsant, honestly. And I think when we're speaking, and to go off your point with the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and his akhlaq and everything that he conducted, even in the toughest test, the Battle of Uhud, arguably the toughest day for the Muslims, when the man came to the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and told him to supplicate a dua. And at the Battle of Uhud, the Prophet, peace be upon him, they weren't fighting the Muslims or fighting the disbelievers or fighting the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the rahmah came out. So it's important, despite your situation, it is not going to get worse or harder than, like you mentioned, the hadith from the Prophet, peace be upon him, that nobody suffered more than the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. Yeah, his akhlaq and his life and his mercy was personified to the people. And there's hadiths from Imam Ali alayhi salam, we're never going to fathom the level of the akhlaq of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. The best we can do is take from the lessons. And the lessons, I can't understand them. That's how great they are. And when we are wrapping to this is a great cue to go to Imam Al Baqir alayhi salam, because when we see the companion of the Prophet, peace be upon him, Jabir ibn Abdullah Al Ansari, swore that there was no one more closer to the Prophet, peace be upon him, than Imam Al Baqir alayhi salam. So talk to us, Sayyid, and wrap it up for us. Significance of Baqir Ulum Al Muhammad, Jabir ensuring the people knew of this status, and how he likened to his grandfather, the Prophet, peace be upon him.
Ahsant. So just before I talk about Jabir and Imam Al Baqir alayhi salam, I did want to mention something that you brought up. Whenever I say let's become like the Ahlul Bayt, let's carry the akhlaq of the Ahlul Bayt, the forgiveness of the Ahlul Bayt, the manners of the Ahlul Bayt, obviously we're not going to become like the Ahlul Bayt. I myself, I'm not going to become like Muhammad and Ali and Al-Baqir al-Sadiq. Obviously not. They are ma'soomeen, they are infallibles, they are on a different level. Prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala won't have the status of the Ahlul Bayt. However, we have to try to get closer to them. It is possible to become like Habib ibn Mudahir. It is possible to become like Zuhair ibn al-Qayn. Yes? It is possible to become like Joan Mawla Abi Dhar. It is possible to become like Salman and Abu Dhar and Miqdad and the companions. They are good people. They have a great status in heaven. They have a great level with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is possible to become like them. It is possible to achieve what they achieved. It is possible to get close to the Ahlul Bayt. Let us try. At least let us try. So this is what I wanted to say.
Nah, isn't there traditions as well, sorry, that say that in the occultation, the people, the Shia who holds on to the message is of greater status than Salman. So we do have the opportunity to be greater, because the test and the difficulty is great. So we can't limit ourselves.
Exactly. Just like what you said. Salman had access to heaven. Rasulullah was next to him. Yeah. He had the key. He would easily be persuaded and accepts religion, obviously because Rasulullah is talking to him. Rahmatan lil Alameen was going to talk to him. The person that Allah talks about and Allah describes, إِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. Allah is أعظم العظماء. Allah is the most great. He talks about Rasulullah and he calls Rasulullah وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَى خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. You have the greatest of akhlaq. Subhanallah. Yani, imagine right now, Allah the greatest talking about the Prophet and describes the akhlaq of Rasulullah as great. So Salman would obviously accept the religion and become like Rasulullah because he had a pure heart and Allah gave him tawfiq, and He had access to the Prophet. He had access to Imam Ali. We do not have access. We have an Imam, and inshallah, we will witness the day that our Imam will reappear, inshallah. However, we do not have access to an Imam right now. Inshallah, we will. That means when we become religious, when we become people of faith, people of akhlaq, people try to become closer to the Ahlul Bayt or their companions, we will be given a great status. Maybe greater than Salman, maybe greater than Abu Dhar. Yes, because we don't have access, yet we try, yet we are committed, yet we are consistent in becoming closer to the Ahlul Bayt. And what I wanted to mention about Jabir and Imam Muhammad Al Baqir alayhi salam is that Jabir was a companion, a very close companion to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He was very close to the Prophet. And Jabir, subhanallah, Allah gave him a long life where he saw the Khilafah, where he witnessed the Khilafah and lived during the Khilafah of Imam Ali and Imam Al-Hasan. He lived during the Khilafah of Muawiyah. He saw everything bad, good, and he was alive on the day of Ashura. However, he couldn't participate in Ashura. He went and visited the grave of Imam Al-Hussein in Arba'in on his 40th. And then he lived during the life of Imam Zayn al-Abidin, was always close to Imam Zayn al-Abidin. And then he witnessed Imam Al Baqir alayhi salam. Lived a very long life. And he saw Imam Al Baqir. One day, Imam Al Baqir was playing with the kids outside. And he comes and he asks the kids, I am smelling someone. I am smelling someone. Subhanallah. Yani this is a close companion of the Prophet. He automatically would notice the scent and the smell of the Ahlul Bayt.
And he was blind at the time.
Inshallah. Yes. And inshallah, Allah will give us that opportunity to experience that scent, inshallah.
Inshallah.
He comes closer to Imam Al Baqir. He says, are you Muhammad bin Ja'far Al Baqir? He says, yes. He says, the Imam tells him, how do you know my name? Because Baqir, no one knew that name other than the Imam himself and his father, Al-Imam Al-Sadiq. He tells him, Rasulullah told me your name, and he told me, once I see you, I give you the salam of the Prophet. Rasulullah, am yusallam alayk. Rasulullah is giving you his salam. So, this is a very great experience that, yes, you can achieve the position of Jabir. Inshallah, Allah will reward us and Allah will elevate our status and put us in the status of Jabir, Salman, and Abu Dhar. Can we become like that? Yes, we do have the opportunity. Let us try to get closer to Allah. I won't say get closer to Allah. I will say try to get closer to Allah. Your salahs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has gifted us with 5 daily prayers. Pray them on time. That's how you can get closer to Allah. Just pray on time. As soon as the mu'adhin says Allahu Akbar, or you hear your phone adhan, go and pray. And do the tasbihat after salah, do the taqibat. There are certain du'as. Right now you have access to Mafatih al-Jinan, easy access to Mafatih al-Jinan on your phone. Just do the taqibat. Listen to the du'as, read the du'as. That's how you can get closer to Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is a hadith that is Qudsi. Hadith Qudsi means that hadith mentioned by Allah. Not in the Quran, just a hadith by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where Allah states, مَا زَالَ عَبْدِيَ الْمُؤْمِنِ يَتَقَرَّبُ إِلَيَّ بِالنَّوَافِلِ. If you want to get closer to Allah, this is a ingredient by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You want to get closer, you have to do the taqibat after salah. Don't pray, yalla, yalla, I have to pray right now and leave. Or you pray so fast and then after prayer, yalla, no tasbih, nothing. You just want to run away. No, sit and talk to Allah. How would you talk to Allah? whole day subhan, just say subhanallah, alhamdulillah, mashallah. Allah will reward you. Allah will reward you. And one short story, and possibly we will conclude with this. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi, on the day of Isra, and on the night of Isra and Mi'raj, where he is elevated. First, he teleported from Mecca to Al-Quds, Jerusalem. Then he was elevated from Jerusalem to the heavens. He got very close to the throne of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he saw hell and heaven. Long story short, the Prophet sees heaven and the anhar. Allah gives descriptions about heaven. Anharun min labanin wa anharun min asal. Jannatin tajri min tahtiha al-anhar. You are living in a jungle, in a garden. Anhar, rivers of yogurt, rivers of honey. Everything is in front of you. Whatever. فيها ما تشتهيه الأنفس فيها ما عين رأت ما لا عين رأت ولا أذن سمعت ولا خطر على قلب بشر. Whatever you wouldn't even imagine of would be in heaven, inshallah. And whatever you would like, you just like it. You are craving this particular thing, you would see it in front of you. Kun fayakun. Now, Rasulullah sees heaven and the beauty of heaven. He sees that there is a group of angels who have the task of builders. Yani they are building. Now, what they are building, possibly a mansion, a house. Inshallah, we will have a mansion in heaven with brother Abbas Jum'ah.
Nah, God bless. Inshallah, we'll all be kicking it and enjoying and resting with the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and his family.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, bahaq Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the Prophet sees angels, they're building. So he asks Jibreel, Ya Jibreel, Ya Habibi, Ya Jibreel, what are they doing? He tells him they're building. What are they building? A palace, a mansion. For who? He tells him, for a mu'min, for a believer. So the Rasul, the Prophet, he sees that they are building, but suddenly they stop. They pause. They're sitting there, but they just don't build. And then they go back to work and they build. He tells him, Ya Jibreel, but why are they stopping? Just let them build already and finish it. He tells him, no, they need supply. He tells him, supply. What do you mean, Ya Jibreel? Supply? Heaven, unlimited supply. What's stopping on the supply? What's stopping the supply from coming? He tells him the mu'min, as soon as he says subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar, they get the supply. Subhanallah. Right now, you just hold the subha. You don't even need a subha, a tasbih. Just simply say subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar. You would get a mansion in heaven. So that is the supply for the angels. I would definitely believe in this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to reward us. This life is a trial, and it is easy to fail, and it is easy to win. You know, there is a moment where Imam Zayn al-Abidin alayhi salam was walking in the streets of Medina. He hears a man screaming. He was saying, Al-ajab kullu al-ajab mimman naja kayfa naja. Yani, I am so shocked. I am so shocked how a person would be saved and sacrificed. How would a person be saved from hell and he would pass and go to heaven and paradise? The Imam hears him. He tells him, what are you talking about? ليس العجب ممن نجا كيف نجا بل العجب ممن هلك كيف هلك. You're surprised? You shouldn't be surprised. You have to be surprised from a person who would fail, who would go to hell, who would be in Nar Jahannam. Because Allah subhanahu. Now, what is the Imam talking about? Yes, the Imam is talking about our merciful Lord. There is nothing more merciful than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nothing more generous than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is testing us. However, Allah wants to show us His rahmah. Allah wants to show us His barakah. Allah wants to forgive us. We have to try. We have to put some effort. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran, وَقُلْ اعْمَلُوا فَسَيَرَى اللَّهُ عَمَلَكُمْ وَرَسُولُهُ وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ. We have to put some effort. You can't just want Allah to take you to heaven and you don't do anything. Or for example, I want Allah to give me $1 million, but I don't work. I want Allah to give me a Lamborghini, but I don't do anything. Yeah, sure, you can want whatever you want. You can crave whatever you want. But you have to put some effort, just like you put some effort in this life and plan your life ahead years ago. You have to plan your afterlife. You have to put some effort. Allah is always there to forgive. Allah is always there to show mercy. Allah is always there to give you and show you His generosity. So we do have a merciful Lord. A Lord that He's been mentioned in the Holy Quran 114 times and described by Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. The one who has mercy to mankind and extra mercy to those who believe. So we have a merciful Lord, my dear brothers and sisters. Inshallah, with the Ahlul Bayt, through the Ahlul Bayt, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will show us His forgiveness, His mercy, His generosity through Muhammad and Ali Muhammad.
Now, inshallah, honestly, Sayyid, I'm inspired. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to start more things and inshallah endeavor in more things.
Maybe.
After this conversation.
We
Great
learn
stuff.
from you.
No,
We learn from
astaghfirullah. No. Sayyid, how do people get a hold of you? So I know that you could, you're still doing Quranic lessons, or if anyone wishes to reach out to you, how's this possible?
However they like. Possibly if you know anyone in particular, people you know personally, you can always refer to them to my phone number. You can always give them my phone number. However, I do have a private Instagram account. I can possibly give it to you, and you can, whenever
inshallah, yeah, we'll put that so people can get a hold. Yeah.
Inshallah, I'm always available. I'm always here to help. A small servant, inshallah. I would like to learn from others as well. So may Allah bless you. I will also give you my
ahsan. Honestly, God bless you, Sayyidina. Thank you so much for blessing us with your time, your wisdom.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure. Inshallah, till next time, Sayyid, look after yourself. We'll stay in touch. Guys.
Thank you so much.